for my birthday, which was December last year, Emma bought me a mountain bike because I like biking, but I didn't have a bike. So she got me a mountain bike, but it's in the middle of winter, so we didn't go and use the bike. In fact, oh my god, sticky keys? Lol. We didn't go and use the bike until, for the first time I rode the bike was yesterday. Let's put it that way. The sun's out, guns out. And she said, what do I want to do for Father's Day? Because she'd actually cancelled everything she booked for Father's Day. I was supposed to be going to a stag weekend, but we had no time because of all the stuff that's coming up with the PvP tournament. And I had other things to do on Father's Day, so I couldn't go. But that meant she'd cancelled all the plans that she'd made for Father's Day, and now it was too late to do the things that she wanted to do. So we were kind of screwed for Father's Day. So she says, we should go for this bike ride. Okay, sounds good. We'll get the bike out. We're going to party. It's going to be really good. So Saturday, after I'd finished a lot of the stuff I needed to do Saturday, we went and we bought picnic stuff so we could have a picnic with the kids. It was going to be really sunny and hot. It's going to be awesome. She said we needed to pick up a bike rack. So she went on one of those apps, like an eBay, but local. And she found a guy who was getting rid of his bike rack for the car. It was going to cost me 100 quid, but it's 300 quid if you buy it from the shop, so that seems good. So she went and got this bike rack fitted, because we've got to carry 4 bikes. Then it gets to Sunday morning. 7 a.m., we're up and about. We're going to go out and get stuff done. Because I also need to come back to the office and do some stuff yesterday. So, Sunday morning, I make the picnics. I put the 4 bikes onto the bike rack, strap them all in real nice, real good. We head off to this place that she's picked, which is in the middle of fucking nowhere, in a tiny-ass village where it definitely looks like everybody butt-fucks each other's cousins. And the place we had to find was down some windy-ass thing on the side of a hill. It was a hidden-away place. It was beautiful, but it was a hidden-away place. Get there. Undo all the bikes. Sort the kids out. Put knee pads and stuff on. Helmets. The whole business. Walk the bikes up to the start of the trail, because it was up at like a really steep hill. I sit on the bike, and I'm like, this is really hard. It's really hard to do anything with this. Then I look down, and the tires are giga flat. Right? The tires are giga flat. They're just pasted to the floor. Now, it's not just because of my giant fat ass. They lack air, right? So I said, on Saturday, I said to Emma, have you got a bike pump in case we need it while we're out? She says yes. So on the Sunday, when I realized my tires are flat, I say, can you give me the bike pump? I haven't brought it. But I asked you yesterday about the bike pump. And similar to what Bex has just said, yes, but you didn't remind me this morning. So it's my fault there's no bike pump. On Saturday, I say, have you got the bike pump? I'm going to need it tomorrow. She says, yes. On Sunday, when I say I need to use the bike pump, she says she hasn't got it and implicates me that it's my fault because I didn't remind her that morning. Right, so we're now in this backwoods, hillbilly-ass area of the UK. I'm the only one who can't ride the bike, so I said, what's the game plan here? So either I have to go back to the house and get the bike pump, which is about 20 minutes, but there's probably a garage local that'll have an air thing that I can use, right? So I said, look, you guys go off riding, I'll go and find it, I'll come back, and I'll catch up to you guys, right? Deal. Sorted. So I fucking walk my bike back down this big-ass steep hill, I strap it back onto the bike rack, and I go out. But I don't know where I am. So I stop people in the street, and I say, guys, is there anywhere around here where I could just inflate some bike tires? Like a garage or something, or somewhere I can pick up a cheap bike pump, whatever. You guys are all country hillbilly bumpkins, so probably there's a bike pump shop nearby. But it's Sunday morning, they're all closed. So they tell me that if I travel 3 miles down some hill, go left, go right, go upside down, go backwards, there's a Tesco's that has a garage that might be able to help me out. All right. So I go on this fucking journey. So it's about a 10-15 minute journey. I get to the Tesco. I find it. I pull up. I take the bike off the rack again. I put it upside down on the floor. I get the goddamn air thing, but it's the wrong nozzle and actually deflates the tires even more. So my sorry ass at 8 a.m. in the fucking morning on a Sunday is stood in this garage with a bike that has got less air in it than it started with, and it was already flat. At this point, Tom Codger, the old man, pulls up behind me because he wants to inflate his tires. So I'm like, okay. I put the bike back on the rack again, strap it all in, move the car like 2 meters forward so Tommy Codgers can get in behind me. I go into the Tesco place and I'm like, is there a place or a nozzle, or do you sell bike pumps or whatever the fuck? And she says, no, we don't even sell them in the main supermarket. And that doesn't open till 10 o'clock anyway because it's Sunday. So I say, I don't live around here. Is there anywhere I can inflate a tire? She tells me to go to the cheap £1 shop, which is another 4 miles in a different direction. They're open on a Sunday, but they probably sell bike pumps because they sell every bit of shit that anybody could ever want in the universe. I'm like, right, fine, I'm going to have to do this. So I get back in the car, I drive on that way, until I spot, like a trolley in the sky, a tool shop on the side of the road, a little tool shop. I was like, they probably have something, like a pump or something, right? A tool shop would probably have something. Will they have something for bicycles? I don't know. So I drive up into the car park, I park the bike up at the car, I go inside, and there is the godsend of man. A big Rastafarian dreadlocked hero named Anthony, who I say, Anthony, praise be, do you have a pump that'll inflate bicycle tires? And he says, I got you. He goes and gets the pump, he brings it out, and then he says, hold on. I explain to him the situation. He says, I've got a staff one of these. You can just go and pump your tires up in the car park, free of charge, no worries. Praise be to Anthony. So I was like, you sure, bro? And he goes, absolutely. So Anthony goes and gets me the free one. I go into the car park, unrack the bike again, turn it upside down in the car park, and begin finally inflating the tires. While this is happening, a big-ass blue car pulls up right in front of me with an old-ass man in it. Old-ass man is the most full-of-shit human being I've ever heard of in my life in a matter of 4 sentences. It was literally like talking to somebody trying to sell you on Diablo Immortal. It was crazy. I was like, hey, man, what's up? And he goes, oh, I was going to wave you over. The fuck? I'm pumping up a bike. Wave me over where? But I thought I'd drive over anyway. Where'd you get that bike from? So I say, oh, from Decathlon. Now, that might not mean a lot of you from Team Europe or whatever, but Decathlon, if you're into any form of sports, like in a reasonable way, you know what Decathlon is. It's the biggest sports distributor in the UK of all sorts of really cool shit. You have it in Poland? Decathlon is the fucking best. Decathlon's awesome, and if you're into kayaking, walking, camping, basketball, gym, whatever, horse riding, you know of Decathlon. It's the bee's knees of sporty shit. I was like, oh, it's just from Decathlon. What's Decathlon? I was like, okay, a little strange that you're so curious about mountain bikes, but you've never heard of Decathlon. But whatever, maybe you just never bought a mountain bike before. So I was like, yeah, it's a sports place near Stockport, which is where the one is. It's like, it's really good. It sells bikes and every accessory you'd ever need. So it's really cool. I said, this bike is a little expensive, though. This one was 260 quid. Now, that seemed, and I can only imagine that he thought I was saying he was a poor. Because his response to this was, oh, yeah, don't worry about that. I was looking at bikes all yesterday for about 11 grand. So you're going to spend 11 grand. In my mind, I'm thinking, you're the kind of person who wants to spend £11,000 on a mountain bike and you've never heard of Decathlon. You are so full of shit that I can smell it from here and you're inside your car. You are literally trying to flex on me while I'm pumping my fucking bike on, and I don't give a fuck. Yeah, it was just such a stupid flex to come out with. And it was written all over his face that I had no idea, that he had no idea what I was talking about. So I was like, oh, okay, then you'll be fine. But yeah, it's a really good bike. It's like 260, and I'm just going about pumping my bike. And he goes, so I could get one of those. I'm like, yeah, it's from a shop. Like, what do you want? He's like, all right. Pretty good, that. Does it run well? It's like, I've never ridden this bike in my entire life. This is the first time I'm getting it out. It just needs its tires inflating. I'm going to meet up with the family. I wasn't stressed. I was just explaining to him. My family's waiting for me. They've been bike riding now for like half an hour, and I've got to catch up with them, etc. And I'm not even back at the place yet. I was like, oh, okay. So the tires are flat, Addy. I'm pumping the fucking tires up, bro. Yeah, the tires are flat. That's what's happening. Yeah, he's just looking for things to say. And he goes, all right, then. I'll leave you to it. I'm like, thanks. No problem. Drives away and parks literally 2 spaces down from me and just stares at me pumping this bike up. I always thought this old man was going to get out and steal my bike. Like some fucking Grange Hill high school bullshit, right? So, anyway, I finish pumping the bike up. I put it back on the rack because I'm generally worried that old Kenneth here is going to steal my fucking bike. Because he's eyeing it up like it's the fucking goddess of the sea that's just come crawling out. I go back into the shop. I praise be to Anthony. I buy the pump anyway because it's 15 quid and I don't want to have to go through this process again that I've just been through. So I was like, I'll just buy the pump anyway. The pump was awesome. Got it done perfectly. Said, I'll buy it anyway, Anthony. And Anthony says, praise be, brother. And we sort it out. Get that. Back in the car. Now I have to remember where in this backwoods hillbilly town this tiny-ass car park is where my family is. I get back another 15 or so minutes later. I've now been gone for nearly an hour trying to pump up my goddamn tires. Get back out of the car. Wheel it up to the top of the hill. My family is sat there. I was like, why are you guys here? I thought you'd be off riding, right? And she's like, James is now saying this path is too dangerous. It is the flattest, most perfect path in the world. He's in tears, saying he can't get on his bike. I was like, well, I've brought your pads, his knee pads and his arm pads, so he can be safe. He's got his helmet and everything. I was like, come on, son, we'll get going. I sit on the bike again, and Emma says, your tires are still flat. And I look so dejected. I was like, are they? She's like, yeah, your tires are still flat. So now it turns out that although I have put air in the tires, now it is my fat ass that's squashing the tires. So she's like, you need to just put more air in them. So back down the hill I go again. Thankfully, I bought the pump from Praise Be Anthony, the trolley god. So I turn the bike upside down again in the car park. The kids are now hungry because they've been sat around for an hour and want to have the picnic in the car park. We still have not ridden anywhere on the bikes. Not gone anywhere. So I take the fucking pump out. I tell the kids they're not having the picnic yet until we actually do something. I start pumping the tires even more. This is when we get interjected by two bike elitists. A doctor and a CEO of a small business who flexed that on me, who meet up every weekend and they go riding on a new area. They're from everywhere. So these two come up to me. One of them is called Greg and the other one is called Ken. Greg and Ken are very, very into bikes. Is there a problem? It's like they were waiting in the car park for somebody to have a bicycle issue. Everything all right? Emma, then being the little social butterfly she is, fills around the scenario. Is like, oh yeah, he's just getting the tires inflated because when he sits on it, it's like squashing the tires and all that. What kind of PSI are you going for there, mate? But I don't know. It says 65 on the tires, so I'm going to 65 because that's where it says it's safe. What kind of surface are you going to be riding on? Are you expected to be like encountering a lot of stone, mate? Or are you expected to be encountering a lot of like mud, which might be slippery? Personally, if I'm on stone, I like to put it down to like 30, 35 PSI. Gives me a little bit less stumble on there. But if I'm going on mud, sometimes I'll even drop it to like 20, so I've got a little bit more traction when it gets slippery. That's how I like to roll, though. But you got to find out your own PSI that's personal. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. I just want to ride my bike. That's all I want to do. I was like, the thing says 65. I'm going up to 65. That's where the tire says. And he goes, yeah, they give those guidances, but there's a lot of leeway. Isn't that right, Greg? Yeah, a lot of leeway, Depends on your surface type, obviously. You got to make sure you got the right level of grip, but not without damaging the walls of the tires, obviously. Let me have a look at it. So then they start fucking touching shit. And I'm like,
Casual.
okay.
You make me sick.
Yeah, very much so. They're like touching shit and like reading. It does say 65. It does say 65 on here. Let me get the phone out though. I'll just check on Decathlon's website. So he then starts browsing. 65. Yeah, it's 65. Yeah, 65 is the upper tolerance. Okay. So what does it say on your pump there? What are you at now? I was like, it's at like 57. Okay. It's like, you're probably fine there, you know. I was like, right, okay. Turn it around. Get it out. Turn the bike over. Your seat's wrong, mate. That seat ain't right. I was like, all right, I checked the seat before and it feels comfortable. And he goes, no, his seat's not right. Emma then goes, how do you check the seat? So now they're involved, right? Like fully involved at this point. It's like, oh, what you want to do is this. Like sit on your bike, mate. Right, what you need to do is get your lower pedal, right? Put your back heel on it. Now straighten your leg out. And he goes, see that? There's an inch under there. It's got an inch under his ass. There's another inch in that chair to get it perfectly. You need to move your seat up an inch. You got any spanners on you? I'm like... And Emma's going, you should get your seat right now because then you won't need to change it later. So she's like encouraging this fucking work going on now. I'm like, okay, sure. So I then break out the spanners and the Allen keys. That's where we're at. We're at spanners and Allen keys now. It's now like an hour and 20 minutes. And we've not gone anywhere. And our kids are now just fucking playing Pokemon on the side of the car. So I'm starting to get a little pissed. So then they start fucking about with my chair, which then slips off the hook, and now it needs a repair job. Because they undid it so much that the seat like came off and now needed to be reapplied to the bottom basis of the thing. And I'm watching them both. Like, I've just stepped away at this point and just let them do this thing. Another 5 or so minutes later, they get it screwed in. They got it on there. They're like, that's going to be the business now, that bike. That is going to be the business. So I'm like, right, okay. So I turn it over. I sit on it and, like, sort of, like, wait for their approval. Although I'm really just like, can you just go now so we can go? Everything's fine. Good. We can go. We wheel our bikes for now the 3rd time to the top of this hill and get ready to go. Me and Max shoot off really good. Emma says, I'll spend the first little bit with James. We go down the track. We turn around. We can't see my wife and my youngest son anywhere, so we ride back where we hear the screaming. My son has declared it's so terrifying to ride along the smoothest, softest path that ever existed for mountain biking that he's screaming, "You're trying to kill me. I'm going to die." This has invited the attention of a wild Karen lurking in the bushes of this area with that. I wish I was making any of this story up. This is legitimately what happened to me yesterday. This wild Karen, who seemingly lives in the wilds and bush and the fauna of this Longondale Trail, which is where we were, is trying to tell Emma that she should stop trying to get him to ride the bike because he's clearly not ready for it. And Emma's going, he does ride a bike. He's ridden a bike a million times. He's just panicking because it's mud and not the track we usually go to. He can ride a bike. She's like, well, he looks very upset to me. Maybe you should give him 10 minutes. And starts offering this parental advice to Emma. Now, after like 5 minutes of this, where she just wouldn't leave, Emma proceeds to go, can you just fuck off? To Wild Karen. Because she'd reached the point where strangers offering their parental advice had really gotten to the nails of her. And she just turned and she went, can you please just fuck off? To which Wild Karen said, you're very rude. After standing there and telling her how to parent her child for 5 minutes and get him to ride his bike, which he did immediately after that and was fine, and then went off into the wilds, only to pop out again later. Apparently, she'd been lurking up and down this track for quite some time, with nobody being able to witness her, like a ghost, and pop out again to say, you managed to get him going then, did you? He was just a little bit upset, I imagine. He looked very sad. The disappearing, reappearing Karen. Yeah, pop back. Yeah, it was just the worst situation. Ultimately, I think in total yesterday, for our 4 hours bike riding trip with the family, we managed to travel, I would say, a mile, where we had a picnic, find a frog, and then come home and cycle back. And that was the whole journey. But I did learn how to rack and re-rack bikes at least 12 times, which is pretty good.